In this video, I'm discussing the charge of sexual battery under California Penal Code Section 243.4. My name is Jamahl Kersey and I'm a criminal defense attorney in San Diego, California. And in this video, we're discussing the charge of sexual battery. This law makes it a crime to touch another person's intimate parts without their consent. The law defines intimate parts as the penis, vagina, anus, groin area, or buttocks of any person and the breasts of a female. If a sexual assault escalates to non-consensual intercourse, then it would be rape. To prove a case of sexual battery, the prosecutor must establish the following elements. Number one, the defendant touched the victim's intimate parts while the victim was restrained by the defendant or another person. The touching may occur through direct contact to the victim's skin or indirect contact through the victim's clothing. And number two, the touching was against the victim's will. In other words, the prosecutor must establish that the victim did not consent to the contact. And number three, the defendant intended to engage in the unwanted touching for the purpose of sexual gratification, sexual arousal, or sexual abuse. If the defendant touched the victim for a non-sexual purpose, such as a medical professional conducting an examination, then a prosecutor would have a tough time trying to establish that the defendant committed sexual assault. As an example, Rick and Julia go out for a first date. They have drinks and the vibe is perfect. After the last drink, Rick invites Julia back to his place. Julia's up for it. And back at Rick's apartment, they start making out. Rick starts to move his hands down Julia's stomach and she stops him, saying she's not ready for that. Rick continues anyway and she repeats no. Rick then gets upset and grabs Julia's wrists. He begins rubbing Julia's vagina over her pants. Julia hits Rick and then leaves the apartment. In this situation, Rick would likely be found to have committed a sexual battery. The law on sexual battery can be found at California Penal Code Section 243.4. One of the most common defenses in sexual battery cases is that the touching was consensual. If the defendant can prove that the sexual contact was not against the victim's will, then the prosecutor may not be able to establish the elements of sexual battery. Sexual battery can be charged as a misdemeanor or a felony. If charged as a misdemeanor, the maximum penalty would be 6 months in county jail and a fine of up to $2,000. If charged as a felony, the defendant could receive a sentence of a year in county jail and a fine of up to $2,000. But the law also allows for a sentence of up to 4 years in prison as well as a fine of up to $10,000. Well, I hope you found this video informative. If you did, please show me some love and hit the like button. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel and make sure you turn on notifications so you never miss a new video when it drops. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching. Until next time, peace.